A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. Now, we have continued to report to you the cumulative sum of coronavirus cases that were reported on a daily basis. But to give you a broad analysis of how our country has been faring throughout the coronavirus outbreak here in Sri Lanka, this is a graphical depiction of how it's been happening. Now, on the 11th of March, the first case of COVID-19 infection was reported here in Sri Lanka. And since then, if you take a good look at this graph, you can see that the average number of patients that are being reported on a daily basis stands at around a number below 10. And this is out of close to 200 tests that are being conducted daily. The PCR tests, 200 tests that are being conducted daily. On average, there are below 10 cases reported on a single day. However, you will see here, on the 31st of March, there have been 21 cases that were reported. One might see this as an anomaly, but that is not the case, since 10 of these 21 patients that were diagnosed on that day were members of the same family, and they were in quarantine after a relative of the family had visited the country from a foreign country and had contracted the COVID-19 virus in that country. Now, of course, you would know that the total number of cases reported in the country stands at 185. Of course, we must not forget that 42 people in the country have also recovered. The health authorities are taking this matter seriously and proactively taking steps to curb the spread of this virus in the country. Now, today we will bring to you news regarding the international situation of the COVID-19 outbreak, although the situation in Sri Lanka is such. On the international arena, Prime Minister Boris Johnson of the United Kingdom has been moved to the intensive care unit as his COVID-19 symptoms has worsened. We've got these news and many more lined up for you tonight, but first, let's take a look at your top stories for today. Sixth COVID-19 related death in Sri Lanka reported today. Number of cases rise. Sri Lanka Medical Research Institute says the number of tests conducted are sufficient. Tests are carried out in a scientific method. Several economic centres, including the Dambulla Economic Centre, closed until further notice. A brightest super pink moon and 5 planets to appear tonight. India lifts ban on pharmaceutical exports amid mounting pressure from US President Donald Trump. Now, before we get into an update regarding the current situation of the COVID-19 outbreak here in Sri Lanka, today is Bak Full Moon Poya Day. Today we commemorate the second visit of Lord Buddha to Sri Lanka. As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and the curfew imposed in the country, many devotees observed Poya rituals within their homes. 5 years after attaining Nirvana, Lord Buddha arrived in the island for the second time to understand how serious this is. The members of the Sangha conducted Poya observances within temples across the country. The offering of the morning Buddha Puja at the Ruanvelli Mahasaya was held with the participation of Venerable Palle Gama Hemaratana Thera and other members of the Sangha. Essential food items were distributed to members of the general public at the Mirisavatiya Raja Mahaviharaya. The religious rites at the Gal Viharaya in Polonnaruwa were carried out by the security officer. This was the situation at the other temples and shrines, including the Dambulla Raja Mahaviharaya, Kalutara Botri and the Mutiyangana Raja Mahaviharaya.
Main sponsor.
Certain parts of the country from which COVID-19 patients were identified from have been declared as isolated areas. Now, the people in these areas are currently under the strict supervision of health authorities and security forces. The Kandasuridugama in Katana, which was declared as an isolated area, was disinfected today. Officials undertook measures to isolate the area after a 4.5-year-old child tested positive for the virus. These areas include Telamugahavatta in the Kandy district, Atalugama in the Kaluthara district, Kadumayan Kulam in the Putlam district, and the Thavadi area in the Jaffna district.
I am currently at the checkpoint located at the entrance of the Atulugama area after 5 patients were tested positive for the virus in the area. Atulugama was declared as an isolated area. Since then, no one from this area tested positive for this disease. Entering or leaving this area has been completely prohibited.
I am currently at the army checkpoint which has been set up at the entry road to Akurana, which was first declared as an isolated area. Now, since the 22nd of March until today, 7 people from the Telamugahavatta area in Akurana had tested positive for the virus. The medical officer of health, Dr. Sanjeeva Kurundugahamada, said that 5 patients were from the same family.
Meanwhile, incidents of people disregarding medical advice and orders to self-isolate were reported over the last few days. Yesterday, the police arrested a 33-year-old person in Potupitia for fleeing the Hettimulla area in Beruala. The arrest had been set in motion based on information provided by area residents. This person has been admitted to the Nagoda hospital after he had informed the police that he was feeling unwell. A person who had fled the Anuradhapura hospital after being directed for a medical test was arrested in Kakirava yesterday. Initially, 2 brothers had been arrested over a motor accident, following which one suspect had stated that he had been developing symptoms of the coronavirus. The brother of the suspected patient has also been hospitalized. His medical tests have shown that the suspected patient had tested negative for coronavirus. The Kakirava police said that legal action will be taken against the suspect. A youth who had escaped quarantine from his residence in the Kuruvita area in Ratnapura was found at a relative's residence in Kuliapitiya today. Health officials who instructed the person to undergo quarantine for 14 days began an investigation into the areas that had been visited by the suspect. Upon the instructions of health authorities, the neighbors of this person have also been ordered to undergo self-quarantine. Now, the Government Medical Officers Association once again reiterated the need to broaden the testing mechanism in place to identify COVID-19 patients.
As of
now, the issue that has emerged is regarding the matter of testing. Right now we are at about 750. We are increasing it to 1,500. But as of yesterday, we have only conducted 300. What we ask is, with 42,000 potential patients, when do they plan to finish this? They should immediately make the PCR test more available. The private sector has these machines. Other government institutions also have these PCR machines. It has been a week since we advised that all this should be taken under the control of the Ministry of Health so that testing can be optimized. The ministry put a technical committee to consider this, but no decision has been made as yet. Instead, they are appointing non-technical committees. We have informed the Health Secretary about this in writing. The people of this country need to be subjected to testing. If not, we cannot predict when this will become an epidemic. If we cannot make correct estimations, there is a major risk of this turning into a domestic epidemic.
මේක වසංගතයක් වෙන දිනේ අපිට හරියට කියන්න බෑ. ඒතර උපකල්පන සම්පූර්ණ වුනේ නැත්තම් රටේ වසංගතයක් ඇතිවීම අවදානයක් තියෙනවා.
Now, staying on the same subject of the requirement of testing for COVID-19 patients here in Sri Lanka and the level of testing that should be conducted in the country, Newsfirst inquired about the manner in which COVID-19 tests are conducted from the Director General of the Medical Research Institute, Dr. Jairuwan Bandara, and this is what he had to say.
It is the conduct of the public which will decide the date on which people can leave their homes without fear. The Health Ministry follows certain steps while controlling the spread of a disease. That is known as resource mobilization. We can allocate our resources towards essential services. There is no shortage of beds, ventilators or medical staffers to treat patients in hospitals. However, these resources will not be allocated without a purpose. There are scientific and technical matters which are taken into consideration. Now is the time to increase the amount of tests that are being carried out. Therefore, the people do not have to panic. The people should panic only over other people who conceal their illness and are spreading the virus to others. we are not conducting tests throughout the day, but the MRI, with the assistance of its medical teams, are ready to carry out tests 24/7. We have around 7 or 8 PCR machines. However, we are only using 2 at present. If required, we can use all these machines as well. However, a requirement has not arisen in that regard, as the mechanism to curb the spread of the virus has been implemented well.
Now, many questions are being raised regarding the nature of the COVID-19 virus. Responding to people on social media, medical experts answered common questions that have been raised regarding COVID-19. Is there any scientific basis to the theory that certain blood groups and antigens are less susceptible to the virus?
Well, the short answer is no. This is a brand new virus that we have not been exposed, and there is no background antibody or immunity. Having said that, I am aware of one small study in the mainland of China suggesting that blood group A was associated with a higher risk of acquiring COVID-19, whereas blood group O was protective. But this was only a very small study, and they did not control for any existing illness. So I don't believe it.
Are my pets in danger of getting the virus?
And the short answer is dogs and cats can get COVID-19, but it doesn't look at this stage like they can transmit it to anyone. And the background to all this is that coronaviruses generally are found in the animal kingdom, and even SARS-CoV-2, the causative agent of COVID-19, has jumped from the animal kingdom to humans. Now, having said that, there is no evidence at this stage that pets can transmit this to humans. A company has actually invented a test for pets, and they've already tested it on 4,000 animals, and apparently none of those tests were positive.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa made a special statement to the general public today.
Members of the Mahasangha, my friends and my dear children, I am addressing you at a time when the government of Sri Lanka and her people are battling against the coronavirus. Our survival is dependent on how we act to curb the spread of this virus. Our attention, our dedication and discipline will play a vital role in deciding on whether we will survive or not. Since this virus surfaced, His Excellency the President and the government acted with caution when deciding on the lives of the general public of the country. Since we understood this situation well, we were able to send a flight to Wuhan and bring down the Sri Lankan students stuck there before any other country could do so for their citizens. When this group was brought down to the country, we had already established a quarantine center in the country. We also constructed a hospital to treat coronavirus patients in Valikanda within 6 days. We also tested the people arriving in the country, identified people that had contact with them, and placed them under self-quarantine in their homes. We identified thousands of people who evaded quarantine, and the President had to even use the state intelligence units to save the general public from these people. Before Parliament was dissolved, our attempts to pass a vote on account were not supported in Parliament. Against such a backdrop, the people who have sovereignty in the country are questioning us on the usefulness of convening such a parliament. The chairman of the WHO complimented the President on the program that we have initiated. The entire world knows this. The government has already provided direct concessions to 5.3 million people in the country. While facing these issues, we need not engage in debates. We did not provide concessions to 1/4 of the population of the country, not while the economy of the country was at a healthy state. All modes of income for the government are now dysfunctional. Right now, we can have only one enemy, and that is the coronavirus. Our religion or race does not matter. We must understand this reality. Remember, we have a group of doctors and medical staff who, while knowing that they might contract the virus, are leaving their children and families at home to treat these patients. Certain doctors are working at the hospital until they test positive for the virus. Some nurses refuse to work because they were not given face masks. But we are proud to say that we have a group of nurses who sew their face masks and fulfill their duties. The medical staff and ambulance drivers have not let down a single patient.
Now, what you saw was only an extract of the Prime Minister's statement. The entire statement will be aired tonight, right after primetime news on TV1. Moving on in more local news, a decision has been reached to close a number of economic centres across the country. Former Provincial Councillor Pramita Bandarathenakon spoke to Newsfirst from the Economic Centre in Dambulla.
How will operations take place with the decision to close economic centres, including in Dambulla? What is the process like? If we get an order from Hambantota, we will make the delivery within 24 hours. The police station here will make the pass available. Don't run after dal or canned fish. We don't know for how long we will receive them. Protect the local farmer. Join this program. Farmers who brought their produce to the Bandaravela dedicated economic centre had to turn back as the economic centre was closed.
We were badly affected over the last few days as a proper mechanism was not in place. All stalls were closed when we arrived at the economic centre.
It costs us 3,000 rupees to come to this economic centre. We earn a living through farming. It would be beneficial if the authorities implement a plan to grant us relief. Although a decision was made to close down the Tambuttegama Economic Centre, the Traders Union said it is impossible to do so. We cannot abide by their arbitrary decisions. We should protect the farmers and the traders. To do that, I will allow the economic centre to be open at 4 a.m. tomorrow, irrespective of who disagrees with it. I will give farmers a chance to bring their produce and to sell goods. The Kappatipola dedicated economic centre was also closed until further notice. This decision was made following a special meeting. The Presidential Task Force on Essential Services announced today that the Dambulla, Tambuttegama, Nuwara, Kappatipola and Ambilipiti economic centres will continue to operate using communication technologies. Accordingly, the subcommittees set up at divisional secretariats to manage the distribution of essential goods should inform the economic centres regarding the quantities of vegetables and fruits required by registered traders in their respective areas before 10 a.m. However, a regulation has been imposed stating that the minimum limit to place orders for vegetables and fruits should be 7,000 kilograms. The Presidential Task Force stated that the economic centres will distribute the required amounts of commodities after obtaining the approval of the government. The distribution of these orders among traders would be handled by the subcommittees at divisional secretariats.
In the absence of a proper mechanism to sell their produce, several farmers have given up on harvesting their vegetables. Now, against such a backdrop, the national organizer of the All Ceylon Farmers Federation, Namal Karunaratne, visited Irundeniyaya in Polpitigama today.
Farmers are unable to sell their produce. The customers have vegetable shortage and are paying sky-high prices. Now they have shut the Dambulla Economic Centre and are saying that there are alternate systems, but they have not been able to implement even one of those. It has not reached the farmer. Our recommendation to the government is, since the government departments have been shut down, use the vehicles in those departments and use the government mechanism to go to the farmers and get them involved in this. Let's build a mechanism to take this produce to the market to offer these products at decent prices to the customers. If that happens, people will not be left out in this manner. These farmers have neither 5,000 rupees nor the food items. There is a new game where some local councillors connected to the government are putting up vegetable shops. They are doing business. Stop doing this and serve the people. We are ready to support and work under the leadership of the government.
Now, while the COVID-19 virus is directly affecting the health of a certain fraction of the society, on the other hand, another part of society is being indirectly affected by the viral outbreak. We now draw your attention towards the issues faced by the families in Kongahakumbura village in Polgahavela owing to the curfew that was imposed with the advent of the COVID-19 outbreak.
There are around 30 families in the Kongahakumbura village in the Polgahavela Divisional Secretariat. Many of the families here depend on daily wages earned through manual labour. However, the people of this village are experiencing hardships as they cannot go to work due to curfew.
Not a single official from the Pradeshya Sabha came here to inquire into our situation. There are several people here who do not have sufficient meals. I have a differently abled son. I request the authorities to provide some relief to us.
Public representatives or state officials have not even visited this village yet.
We can only consume meals if we earn money. Otherwise, no one is there to help us. We are helpless now. We can only manage to drink some porridge. Lorries too don't come here as well. Even if they do, we don't have the money as well. Politicians come here only to seek votes. They only come here to campaign for their parties. We cannot gain any relief from them.
The issues faced by farmers are not limited to their inability to sell their produce. We received reports of another group of farmers facing challenges to till their lands to cultivate for the next season.
Plans were drawn up to commence cultivation for the Yala season in Ampara district this year at a meeting held on the 5th of March. Certain decisions at the meeting, which was headed by the district secretary, had been taken based on the circular issued at the time by the Ministry of Agriculture in relation to issuing fertilizer. Although at the meeting farmers had been promised the required fertilizer, a subsequent circular by the ministry had cut down the issuance of fertilizer by 50%. The district secretary promised us free fertilizer this season. According to the initial circular, 82 kilos of urea and 19 kilos of TSP and 21 kilos of MOP were to be provided per acre. At the inception, fertilizer was distributed as promised. However, a week later, another circular had been issued reducing the number of TCP. A third circular had been issued directing authorities to only provide 50% of the initial amount for the farmers who had not been issued fertilizer until the 31st of March. How can a circular be amended from time to time like this? How can they go against the decisions made by the District Agricultural Committee? The Ampara district contributes a quarter of our country's total paddy production. At present, farmers are uncertain as to how they will be able to commence cultivation as a result of the reduction in the fertilizer provided. There is an obstruction for us to cultivate at full capacity as a result of the shortage of fertilizer. There will be a shortage in the harvest. The government expects us to cultivate on every inch of land.
The farmers in the country have continued to provide the nation with rice amid this crisis. The government should introduce an alternative if this process is to continue. Our children do not have rice. A child cannot grow without adequate nutrition.
Around 3,500 paddy farmers in Mahiyangana are facing difficulties this season as a result of an experiment which is being conducted by officials. It has been suggested by officials to provide farmers with 70% solid fertilizer and 30% liquid fertilizer. The quantity of fertilizer provided has been reduced by 35% this season. As a pilot project, they have provided us with liquid fertilizer. We are prepared to cultivate to provide food for the nation. What officials are doing is conducting experiments. There is an issue relating to water as well. I feel like this is an attempt to sabotage our cultivation. There is no point in experimenting. The farmers should be given the necessary requirement to provide rice for the country. Provide us with fertilizer in the regular manner. If not, we will be compelled to stop cultivating. Officials will have to starve if that happens, since they also eat the rice we provide.
Meanwhile, many banana farmers have been forced to abandon their fields as they are unable to sell their produce.
Residents of Wangura Tangallavalava, whose main mode of income is farming, are currently facing many difficulties. Around 5,000 families in Suryavawa, Valsapugala and Giribangara rely on banana farming as their livelihood. They had cultivated in an area of around 3,000 acres with the intention of saving some extra money during the New Year period.
No vendors are coming. We have no money. It is better if they buy from state farmlands. They are not coming to the village to make purchases. We have no money. We are doing this while incurring debt. A comb that we sold at 750, we are selling at 50 rupees now. We are not asking for relief. We want a system put in place to sell this harvest. Don't leave people in hunger.
Leader of the Samagi Jana Balawege, Sajid Premadasa, expressed these views regarding the current situation in the country.
යෝජනා කරන වර්තමාන රජයට ජනතාව ජීවත් කරන වැඩපිළිවෙලක් සකස් කරන්න. පුංචි මුදලක් ජනතාව අතරට ලබා දීලා එයින් සෑහි.
We call on the government to implement a proper plan to assist the people. Handing out small amounts of money will not be enough to keep the people content. A 4-member family needs at least 20,000 rupees to fulfill their needs. However, these families do not have this amount of money as well. At a time like this, more relief should be granted to the people who earn a daily wage by engaging in labor or by being self-employed. That is the responsibility of the country. If the responsibility of ruling country is undertaken, then they cannot evade these challenges. They cannot sustain the people's lives by conducting circuses before the media and by concealing the people's problems. Why are political symbols being printed on packets of commodities against the backdrop of an epidemic? Today, the process of granting relief has been politicized as the allies of those in power are appointed to key positions to decide on the people who should be receiving relief.
පළාත් පාලන නියෝජිතින් සහන ලැබිය යුතු සුදුස්සා කවුද නුසුදුස්සා කවුද කියන තීන්දුව ගැනීමේ මහත් බලවත් තැනකට ඒ පුද්ගලින්ව පත් කරලා අද සහන වැඩසටහන සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම දේශපාලනීකරණය වෙනවා.
Former State Minister Ranjan Ramanayake distributed dry rations for the needy in parts of the Gampaha district yesterday.
Ramanayake visited the Dulapitiya and Minuangada areas in Gampaha yesterday.
ආණ්ඩුව කිව්ව තරමට මේ දේ හරියට වෙලා නැති නිසා තමයි විපක්ෂය අපිට මෙහෙම කරන්න සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
We have to do this because the work was not done properly as per what the government said. 500 million was received from China at first and then another 700 million was received for a total of 1,200 million. There is the $448 million that was to be received through the MCC agreement. They are engaging in politics. The relief did not come for Gotabaya or for Mahinda. It was for the country. But there is no auditing happening in the country. The Tourism Ministry created a video advertisement at a cost of 24 million rupees asking tourists to come here, claiming the coronavirus would not spread here in the summer. It is the government that should be held accountable for the arrival of the coronavirus in the country surrounded by the sea. As a public representative, I am not afraid of the coronavirus. I believe in the power of immunity and I am fearlessly coming before the people. I do not know if I am a carrier.
මේ විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා මම බය නැතුව ජනතාව අතරට එනවා මම වාහකෙක්ද කියලා මම නම් දන්නේ නැහැ.
Main sponsor.
Taking a look at the international situation of the COVID-19 outbreak, with Singapore imposing a partial lockdown and other countries extending stay-at-home orders to curb the spread of the disease, the COVID-19 pandemic has not shown any signs of slowing down as it continues to affect every country, driving up infection rates and death tolls. Now, as of 5 p.m. today, the total number of COVID-19 patients across the globe stands at 1,360,233. The global death toll is 75,961. The total number of patients in the world that have recovered stands at 293,615. Now, these are the countries with the highest number of patients across the globe. The United States tops the list with 327.2 million cases that have been reported. I beg your pardon. 367,650 cases have been reported from the United States. 10,943 deaths have been reported from that country. And second in the list is Spain with 136,675 cases reported in the country. and 13,341 deaths reported in the country as well. In Spain, 40,437 people have recovered. Moving on to Italy, 132,547 cases have been reported in the country. There have been 16,523 deaths in Italy, with 22,837 people recovering from COVID-19 in Italy. In Germany, 103,375 people have tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. There have been 1,810 deaths reported, along with 36,081 people recovering from the COVID-19 outbreak. Now, other countries with the highest number of COVID-19 cases are France, China, Iran, the United Kingdom, Turkey, and Switzerland.
President Donald Trump warned India that the US may retaliate if it did not export anti-malarial drug hydroxychloroquine despite his personal request, saying he would be surprised if New Delhi did not relent as it has good relations with Washington. Last week, Trump said he had sought help from Prime Minister Narendra Modi to allow the sale of hydroxychloroquine tablets ordered by the US to treat the growing number of coronavirus patients in his country, hours after India banned the export of the anti-malarial drug. Later today, India approved some exports of hydroxychloroquine, being touted as a possible coronavirus treatment after pressure from Donald Trump, who has been urging Americans to take it. The tablets are used to prevent and treat malaria. India, the world's largest producer of hydroxychloroquine, has put a temporary export ban on the drug in order to preserve domestic stocks. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has declared a month-long state of emergency in Tokyo and 6 other prefectures to ramp up defenses against the spread of coronavirus. Abe said there will be no European-style lockdowns. Japan's government has also approved an emergency economic stimulus package worth 108.2 trillion yen or 993 billion US dollars, with fiscal spending of 39.5 trillion yen, aimed at battling the deepening fallout from the coronavirus. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was in intensive care today after receiving oxygen support for serious COVID-19 complications, leaving his foreign minister to lead the government's response to the accelerating outbreak. Johnson's battle with the virus has shaken the British government just as the UK enters what scientists say is likely to be one of the most deadliest weeks of the pandemic, which has killed 5,373 people in Britain from a population of 67.9 million. He was moved to an intensive care unit where the most serious cases are treated. Although he received oxygen, his office said he was still conscious and was moved to intensive care in case he needed to be put on a ventilator. Johnson is the first leader of major power to be hospitalized for the new coronavirus. The number of coronavirus cases in Russia rose by more than 1,000 for the first time to reach 7,497 in the past 24 hours. The country's crisis response center said that the number of reported cases rose by 1,154, while deaths rose by 11 to 58 out of a population of 145.9 million. Dubai, the commercial hub of the United Arab Emirates, has extended the closure of commercial activities until the 18th of April as part of efforts to contain the coronavirus. During this period, sectors exempted from the lockdown will operate as usual. Indonesia confirmed 247 new coronavirus infections, taking the total up to 2,738. 12 more deaths were reported out of the population of 273.5 million. Taking the total to 221, while 204 people had recovered. More than 14,300 coronavirus tests have been carried out so far. Malaysian health authorities reported 170 new coronavirus cases, raising the cumulative total to 3,963 cases as Southeast Asia's third largest economy grapples with the high infection rate in the region. The latest data includes 1 new death from a population of 32.4 million, raising total fatalities to 63. Iran's coronavirus death toll rose to 3,872, with 133 deaths from their population of 84 million in the past 24 hours. The total number of cases climbed to 62,589, with 2,089 new infections, while 3,987 infected people were in critical condition.
Italy is one of the worst affected countries by the COVID-19 virus. The death toll in Italy stands at 16,523. Now, we spoke with Neil Rajapaksa, who is currently in Verona, Italy, through Skype for an update on the current ground situation in the country.
The current reduction of the number of COVID-19 cases in Italy and the reduction in the number of deaths reported daily is seen as a breath of fresh air by all Italians. For so long they have been suffering while being confined to their homes, but now, finally, with the reduction in the number of cases, they are beginning to feel much better. The European Union is providing aid, and media reported of many European countries providing medical aid to Italy as well. Countries like Germany have provided assistance too. The European Union is acting very responsibly right now. He also spoke about the number of daily deaths that are being reported from the country. The day before yesterday, there were 525 COVID-19 related deaths reported, but everyone is speaking about the reduction in the number of patients. Italy has now reached a turning point. Italy has imposed certain regulations for selected regions where families with elders and children are allowed to move 200 meters from their residence. Italy has faced a major crisis. Italian people are known for working efficiently, but this outbreak has completely disrupted their lives. According to the Italians, if the country is to be brought on track by at least next year, they need to control the spread of this virus by the end of this month.
Now, stepping up to the challenge of combating the COVID-19 virus here in Sri Lanka, a team of engineers at the Moratuwa University invented a robot that can disinfect areas using UV technology.
A test run was carried out at the Gambaha Wickramarachchi Ayurveda Institute today. The test run had taken place under the supervision of technicians, including the head of the microbiology department at the Kelani University, Professor D.L. Jayaratna. The technical committee assessed the manner in which the disinfection process was carried out by the robot. The product, which has been manufactured at a cost of 800,000 rupees, will cost 3 million rupees if it is to be imported.
We conducted a test on the robot to observe how it could be used in the disinfecting process with the use of rays instead of liquids. We have positive results on the test. Based on the test, I can recommend this robot to be used for disinfecting purposes. We came across situations in China and South Korea in which the process of disinfecting public areas can be expedited with the assistance of robots. It will cost us around 3 million if we are to import this robot. Therefore, we decided to manufacture a similar product using materials we have at hand. We manufactured this robot within 2 weeks. We hope to introduce this robot to hospitals and to improve the efficiency of the disinfecting process.
While some Western traditional or home remedies may provide comfort and alleviate symptoms of COVID-19, there is no evidence that current medicine can prevent or cure the disease. The World Health Organization does not recommend self-medication with any medicines as a prevention or cure for COVID-19. At present, there is no evidence that pets at home can spread COVID-19. Some media reports have shown that the coronavirus can infect our companion animals and more exotic species like tigers and lions, but the cases are extremely rare. The World Health Organization states there is no evidence that a dog, cat, or any household pet can transmit COVID-19.
The brightest supermoon of 2020 will appear tonight. Now, this is a rare celestial phenomenon where a super pink moon and 5 planets will be visible in the night sky.
A series of supermoons will be visible in the night sky this year, with the first such incident occurring on the 9th of March, the second on the 7th of April, that is today, and the last coming in on the 7th of May. Tonight's full moon will be closer to the Earth than the other supermoons in this series. Accordingly, the moon will appear 14% larger and 30% brighter than usual. Professor Chandana Jayaratne from the University of Colombo said the most ideal time period to observe the pink moon would be between 5 and 5:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. 5 planets, including Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, and Mercury too, will be visible during this time.
Can the BCG vaccine developed to fight tuberculosis save countries from COVID-19? Now, it was reported that more striking evidence has emerged that the BCG vaccine may provide protection from the COVID-19 virus.
Irish urologist Paul Hegarty and some epidemiologists at the University of Texas in Houston, in their study of 178 countries, has found that countries with vaccination programs have a death rate up to 20 times lesser compared to where BCG programs are no longer deployed. The urologist was quoted as saying by foreign media, quote, "Over the 15 days, incidence of COVID-19 was 38 per million in countries with BCG vaccination, whereas the incidence of COVID-19 was 358 per million in the absence of such a program," unquote. The BCG vaccine is still widely used in developing countries where it prevents infant deaths from a variety of causes. The study noted that the BCG vaccinated older people experienced decreased respiratory infections, while in bladder cancer patients, BCG boosts immunity, reduces tumor size and decreases mortality. It reported that scientists in Australia and Netherlands have tested the BCG vaccine on healthcare workers. The results are due to be released within 3 to 6 months.
The Negativu Sri Lanka theme song was created to inculcate a positive mindset among the people of Sri Lanka. We also invited you, our viewers, to join us in sharing that positivity by singing the Negativu Sri Lanka theme song, and we received an overwhelming response from you, our viewers. Now, we will leave you tonight with the response we got from our viewers. And right after the news awaits this special statement made by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. For the News First team, I'm Charlene Benedict, along with our interpreter for tonight, Brian De Cruz. Thank you very much for watching. Stay home, stay safe, take care, and God bless.
To hope and pray, heal our mother.